Hello and welcome to a lesson on multiplying decimals. So multiplying decimals, much like adding and subtracting, it's just like multiplying whole numbers. And so the only difference in multiplying decimals and multiplying whole numbers is that we're going to place a decimal point in the product. So a decimal point will go in the product, and to see where the decimal place goes, let's look at the following problem. So let's say we had no idea how to do this decimal problem, but we do know how to multiply fractions. Let's go ahead and change both of these to fractions. So when we're reading 0.06, that's really 6/10, and so we can make 0.6 a fraction by writing it as 6/10. And then we're trying to multiply by 3/100ths here, so we're going to make that a fraction of 3/100ths. Now we know when we're multiplying fractions that we multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom, and so 6 times 3 in the numerator gives us 18, and 10 times 100 in the denominator gives us 1,000. Now I know that that's reducible, but remember we're trying to find an answer here in decimal form. So what is 18 over 1,000 in decimal form? Well, 18 over 1,000 is 18 thousandths. So our result is 0.00 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so 0.0, I can't count here, 1/8. So that's the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths place, okay? So what I want you to see here is where the decimal point goes. Now, if we're thinking about this product, let's say we were just looking for the product of 6 and 3. Our product is 18, so that number is still there. So multiplying decimals is really ending up with the same result as multiplying the whole numbers, the 6 and the 3, we end up with 18. The difference again is we put a decimal in the answer. And what we want is for the number of decimal places in our answer, in this case 3 decimal places in the answer, we want that to be equal to the sum of the decimal places in our original problem. So we have 3 decimal places in the answer. And if you notice what we started with, we had here 1 decimal place, and here we had 2 decimal places. And if we find the sum of 1 and 2, that gives us the 3 decimal places that are to be in our answer. So when we're going to multiply decimals, it is as simple as multiplying them as if they were whole numbers. So we're going to multiply the decimals as if they were whole numbers, sort of ignoring the decimals throughout the multiplying process. And then the decimal point in the product is placed so that the number of decimal places in the product is going to be equal to the sum of the number of decimal places in each of the factors. So how many decimal places total were there in the original problem? That's what we need to have in our answer. Okay? And the nice thing is we can estimate, right? Estimating is a helpful thing. Estimate the product before we multiply, and it could be helpful, and it's also helpful to verify our work, and we have technology that we can use to do so. So use your calculator, use Desmos to verify that you're working on the right thing. Okay, so let's try this out a few times. So multiplying here, just like 0.2 and 0.3, that might be a tough one for us to estimate, so let's bypass that one here. But we have a number that's less than a half even, and another number that's less than a half, so we're going to have a pretty small result here. But let's go ahead and line these, or let's go ahead and multiply these numbers. Remember, we're going to consider these whole numbers, the 283 and the 3. That's all we really need to worry about in our multiplication. So I'm going to be multiplying 283 and 3, and I know my decimal points are here, but they're not going to affect my work. Okay? So when I multiply, first it's 3 times 3, which gives me 9, and then it's 8 times 3, which is 24, and so we're going to place the 4, and we're going to carry the 2, and then it's 3 times 2, which is 6, plus the 2 up here makes 8, and so we have 849 for the result of the multiplication. Oops. Now, my 8, I'm sorry. Now we need to make sure that the number of decimal places in the answer is equal to the sum of the number of decimal places in the original problem. So we had 3 decimal places here, 1 decimal place here. That means 4 decimal places total. So if I need 4 decimal places total in this answer, I'm going to have to add a 0 here so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers after my decimal. Okay? So 0.0849 is going to be our result. And again, let's confirm. So we have 0.283 multiplied by 0.3, and that's 0.0849 for the answer. Okay, so 4 numbers after the decimal, and this time when we insert those zeros, they're going to go between our number and decimal if that's necessary. So this result is 0.0849. Okay, let's try that again. Let's see here. 23, almost 24 times 0.78. I mean, if I was multiplying 24 times 1, I'd get 24. So this is going to be a number that's less than 24, so we can at least estimate that way. So let's multiply. We're going to have 23.6 multiplied by 0.78. And so those decimals are in there, but they're not going to affect my multiplication. So here, 6 times 8 makes 48. So we're going to have 8, and actually let me use another color here, because we're going to go a couple rows. 6 times 8 is 48, so we're going to put 8 here, and we're going to carry the 4. And then 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 4 is going to be 28. So again, 8 here, carry the 2. And then 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 2 is 18. So we're going to have 18 here. Now, because we're going to the next row, we're going to put in a 0 for our placeholder. And then we're going to do the rest of the multiplication here. So 7 times 6 is 42. So we're going to have a 2, and we're going to carry the 4. And so now it's going to be 7 times 3, which is 21. And 21 plus the 4 makes 25. And so we're going to put a 5, and we're going to carry the 2. And then 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus the 2 makes 16. So 16 coming down here. And now we're going to add the results. And so 8 and 0 is going to make 8. 8 and 2 is 10. So I have 0 here, and I'm going to carry the 1. 8 and 1 is 9. 9 and 5 is 14. So there's 4. We carry the 1. And then 6, 7, 8 in this column, and then 1 here. Alright, so there's our answer in terms of a product, but we got to put a decimal in there. We've got 1 number after the decimal here. We've got 2 numbers after the decimal here. So if I add those, that means I need 3 numbers after the decimal in my answer. So 3 numbers after the decimal. So I'm going to start at the end and go 1, 2, 3. So my decimal needs to be right here. Okay, 3 numbers after the decimal. So that's going to make this result. What did I do to my 78? That looks bizarre. Okay, so 18.408. Sorry, I got a little squirrel moment there. And again, estimating, I knew we were going to be looking at less than 24, but let's go ahead and confirm our work. 23.6 times 0.078, and there it is. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I typed in the... So when you confirm your answer, you want to make sure you actually type the problem in there. There you go. 0.78, not 0.78. And there's 18.408 for our confirmation. So make sure you're typing the right problem in when you want to confirm your work. All right, let's try again here. So we have 0.0531 that we're going to multiply by 16. And so let's start with 6 times 1 is going to be 6. And 6 times 3 is going to be 18. And so we're going to have an 8 here, and we're going to carry the 1. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 1 is 31. So we're going to have a 1, and we're going to carry the 3. And then 6 times 0 is 0, plus the 3 is 3. And so a 3 will come down here. Now we have a placeholder. And go to the next row. and multiplying by 1. Right? 1 times 1, that's just going to be 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 0 is 0. Don't really need that 0. But now we're going to add. Okay, so we're going to add these numbers here. 6 and 0 is 6. 8 and 1 makes 9. 1 and 3 makes 4. 3 and 5 makes 8, and I don't need that 0. Or maybe I do need that 0. So what we need is for there to be how many decimals places in our answer? Well, there's no decimal places here, so there's only 4 decimal places from our first number, and so 4 total decimal places in our answer. So right now the decimal is here. We want 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers after the decimal, so the decimal needs to be right here. So we are looking at an answer of 0.8496. And again, that's kind of a tough one to estimate. Let's go ahead and confirm with our calculator. 0531 multiplied by 16 is exactly what we got. Okay, I knew it would be less than 16 because we're multiplying by such a small number. We're just taking a part of that number. All right, so here, this one I can estimate probably a little bit easier. We have about 28, and we're multiplying by something that's pretty close to 2. And 28 times 2 is 56, so we're going to be looking for something that's close to 56. Kind of nice when we can actually estimate. But this is going to be a larger amount of work to do here. So we have 28.06 and 1.95 to multiply. So starting, let's use red. Here, 6 times 5 is 30. So we have 0. We carry the 3. 5 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. 5 times 8 is 40. So we're going to carry the 4. And then 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus the 4 makes 14. And then we're going to put a placeholder in. And now we're going to multiply our 9s here. So 9s. 9 times 6 is 54. So 4, and carry the 5. 9 times 0 is 0 plus 5 is 5. And then 9 times 8 is 72. So it's 2, carry the 7. And then 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus the 7 is 25. And now we've got another row. So I'm going to put 2 placeholder zeros in. And now pick another color, multiplying by 1. 1 times 6, that's not so bad. That's going to be 6. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 8 is 8. And 1 times 2 is 2. And at long last, we can add to get our final answer. We're close. So 0, 3, 4, and 0 is 7. 0, 5, and 6 is 11. So I'll carry the 1. That's 5, 6, 7 in that column. That's 6 and 8 is 14 in that column. And then carrying the 1, I get 5 in my last column. Now I have 2 numbers after the decimal here and 2 numbers after the decimal here. So I need 4 decimal places total in my answer. So if I start over here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 numbers after the decimal means my decimal needs to be right there. And we said about 56 for an estimate, and this is pretty darn close, so I think we're right on the right track here. So this is going to be 54.717, and we know we have the 0 at the end. Not completely necessary, but not wrong to have it there as well. And just to be safe, let's go ahead and confirm 28.06 multiplied by 1.95 gets us 54.717. Perfect. Okay? So there it is, multiplying of decimals. Sometimes a lot of work. Luckily, we have technology that can help us, but definitely work we should be able to handle and that you have available for practice now in Canvas. So go ahead and work on those problems, and as always, if you need some extra help, I'm here for you, so reach out. All right, guys.